So how do you create texture in IlluGen? Well, good question. First of all, you begin with a new project, and then you go into the, well, I leave it on the auto because I like it, because I jump a lot between 2D and 3D, so might as well do it automatically with this option. But then again, so for this one I can just remove the render node. It's really not useful to me in that case. And well, the node you're gonna use a lot is gonna be the shape node. If you're familiar with a Substance Designer, well, you're gonna be in known territory. Easy. So we have this shape over there, that is the default one, and then you can check the parameters you got, and then you can do a pyramid, for example. But in my case, I'd like to use the star. So you have a star over there, and then you have the amount of sides you can generate. That's nice. The other parameter I use a lot is the intensity remap and the inner fillings. So let's say I use those a lot. I'm just gonna favorite them, and then the amount of size, secondary size, and then intensity remap. I don't think you can favorite this one though, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. So secondary size, like so. Intensity remap, can do it like this, and then like so. Let's just remove this one out, maybe like so. I don't know, it's gonna be up to you to shape the texture you want. So let's go to the favorite tab and modify the parameters I like the most. Inner filling, so you have shapes like those. Secondary size, nice. So you like this one, you can then click on this one and then save this as a new preset. Star variant A. Then go back to default, and then you can jump back to this one. Star, nice. Well, it looks good for the moment, but it's pretty flat. So let's say you want to add some deformation. Well, that's good because you got the UV pin over there, and then you have the background over there. It's pretty much the same workflow you would have in Unreal, where you would have add a some UV deformation to your texture, but you can already do this over there by dragging this pin out, and then go to UV. And one of the nodes I use a lot as well is the UV noise. Damn, it was good already. So you can make like some kind of how do you call that, like electricity if you want, or well, what your imagination tells you to do, pretty much. So again, you got a bunch of parameters exposed, and you can just play with this. You can change the seed, the roughness, there you go. The rotation, this one is nice also because you can also override this, the rotation. You can add a keyframe, animate it, change the value, I don't know, 0, hard to reset, and then whatever. But I don't like to keyframe those kind of stuff. I'm just gonna use the modulators for that. The pin override, it's now available. Module, and then let's use a mod cycle. Mod cycle and oscillator are the ones I use a lot. So let's just go with this one, and then maybe, well, tone it down, tone the frequency down to 0.1. And yeah, and as you can see, the one that's actually affected is this one is highlighted in white, while the others are grayed out. So but for ease of use I usually just set those to none because I just don't use them at all. Then play with the frequency, phase. You can also keyframe those or add another pin. Let's just use an oscillator. It's a sine option for this one. You can change it for a saw, a pulse. Again, whatever your heart tells you to do. So maybe decrease the amount of roughness to this one, and then you see as well at the because this texture is styling, you can see the borders over there that are bleeding over this texture. So either you reduce the size of your shape to avoid this, let's just scale, scale it down, and then as you can see for the scale and the intensity, for example, you don't have like the overhead pin that's directly visible to you. That's because you gotta expand this one and then you have the option to do it like this. You have the modulation for this one if you want, scale mod, but this one I am not sure how to use, so I don't wanna tell you talk to you about things I don't know, so I'm just gonna skip this one and just use an override for this one, and then yeah, do the same thing over there. So if you ask yourself why there's no pin available and you see an arrow over there, you just need to expand this one. So yeah, well, the other way to fix the bleeding stuff, bleeding texture, well, first of all, it's because it's styling. So you can just set to no tiling for this one, and there you go. Shouldn't have any problem. Or what I prefer to do, you set it back to tiling, and then you directly set the tiling on the node itself over there. You set it to absolute and then no tiling. So let's revert the scale to what it was. There you go. And then set it back to tiling. You see the texture over there like it's bleeding from the other part. No tiling. It's not happening anymore. So yeah, that's one shape amongst all. Well, you have the UV deformation, but you can also add a background. You can add a noise. There you go. You can also add a level to this one. Noise, and then auto level maybe. Play with the main remap curve, and then you can also animate all the parameters of this node over there, noise node. Let's say the position, there you go, later cycle, and then you have stuff like this. I just want animation on the y-axis vertically, so like so. Play with the levels again. See, you can have stuff like this, make electricity. Imagination is the limit. And then to export your texture when you're done with it, let's say you don't necessarily want the animation. I already made a separate video for the flipbooks for it. Let's just say you want a still image of it. You can just drag it out, grayscale, export grayscale, first frame 0, or whatever frames you want it to render. Let's say 51. export now, go back to the folder, and then check for the texture I rendered out. So where is it? Well, let's look for it. Open folder. Where is it there though? Huh? Oh well. Export now. Well, maybe I'm gonna check this folder, paste it over there, export now, open folder, there it is. There we go. So what else? Let's say you wanna generate a noise. You know, because we use a lot of noise texture, like in our job as VFX artists, like to deform UVs or use as a mask, a padding mask. So you type noise. There you go. Again, pretty much like a Substance Designer. And then again, don't forget to check the preset tab, because there's already some that were pre-made. You got the cloud, you got rocks, you got quantize simplex, and then to see, okay, how did I make all this? Again, take this toggle to see the parameters that have been changed. You're like, oh, okay, that's how you made it. All right. So take the habit to make sure that your noise texture is actually tiling, because you can have cases in production where it's actually not tiling. So how do you do that? Again, toggle texture tiling, and there you go. And noise texture. So same workflow as the texture, the simple texture we made. You can add deformation to this one. Well, I'm not a big fan of this one, so I'm just gonna use the cloud one, for example. You can add deformation to the UVs. So just go to maybe directional one for this one, and then one of the parameters I like to play a lot is the chaos amplitude. So just go like this, scale, roughness, position, and then yeah, whatever you want to do. This one doesn't look very good, so I'm just gonna use a noise texture, not noise texture, but UV noise, and then play with the roughness. There you go. About 50. Scale, rotation, folding, maybe play with the levels. There you go. There you have it. Well, it doesn't look that good when styling, so you gotta shape your noise texture well to avoid this problem. And then same thing, export, and there you go. Now let's say you wanna pack noises together, which we do a lot as VFX artists. Well, I do have already example already made, but I can showcase this to you right over there. So let's create another noise, fractal noise, maybe this time, fractal noise. This one I like a lot. Yeah, string, duplicate again, try the rice one. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, same thing as it's Substance Designer. You got the merge, I think it's RGB merge, and then put this one into the R channel, green channel, and blue channel, and then just hit export. I don't have anything in the alpha channel, so I just don't toggle this option, and then you export it, and then that's pretty much it. Alright, that's it for the 2D introduction, 2D texture introduction.